Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to the Post Monster Madness live show. And with me today is Cinematic Sterling and a very good friend of mine, Peter. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm great.
I have nifty 50s.
Okay,
Nice.
so I was like, all right, the two greatest horror minds that I know, bringing them together, what would I have in mind for these wonderful gentlemen to talk about? And I thought, and funnily enough, Peter actually brought this up maybe a month ago or so. Not really sure when it was brought up, but I wanted to talk about the idea of a new form of horror, and that is called elevated horror. So I wanted to talk about this because Peter made some good points that I agree with. So let's get started. I think the term elevated horror is absolutely fucking retarded. I absolutely hate the term elevated horror. The first time I heard of the term was during Scream 5. So that should tell you my initial thoughts. And when the term was brought up, I was kind of confused because one, the bootleg I was watching had terrible audio issues, and second, I was like, did I really just hear that? Did that really come out of your face? Elevated horror. All right, okay. And when I was kind of looking into it, I'm like, oh, so it's people who don't like horror, who like these new movies and have to pretend that it's something more so that they can actually like horror without liking horror. Yeah, okay, that fucking makes sense. Because here's the thing. Elevated horror is a bullshit term. It's a bullshit fucking term because if you look in the right places, if you know what to look for, there's horror for everybody. Because the whole point of the horror genre in general is to bring fear to your audience, basically. So, and everybody is afraid of something, most different things. Like, let's say, for me, I would probably say if I was going to go for a major fear, one of my biggest fears is roller coasters because fuck roller coasters. Because why do they exist? I don't know. And
Thank
I
you.
fucking hate them. So, with that, sorry, I'll let you talk in a second, Devin. Final Destination 3 is probably my worst nightmare. So, that would probably be one of the greatest fears to me. Or, hornets. I hate hornets, yellow jackets, and wasps. So there's probably a movie out there for me that'll probably scare the ever-loving shit out of me. Probably just the end of My Girl, but that's beside the point. So the thing about elevated horror, it's just this, it's just normies who hate horror have to like make excuses for themselves. That's what I think. Because horror has always been about I gotta try to find a way to word this. But I don't want to say elevating the mind, but always trying to like find fear in the mind. And you're telling me that like psychologically and that like until the 2010s that horror movies are now based around metaphors, psychological metaphors. Bullshit. Watch The Innocents if you don't fucking believe me, because that is a movie that deals with Christian fundamentalism and repression of sex. And if you know what to look for, then you'll find it. So I just, the idea of elevated horror to me is just such a big slap in the face to horror fans, because that's like, oh, all the stuff before the fucking Witch. And don't get me wrong, I love the Witch. I mean, I used it for the goddamn thumbnail in the intro. I love the Witch, but like, don't act like, oh, that's like the first real movie to, or like Get Out and that type of shit. Like, I love Robert Eggers and I love Jordan Peele, but don't act like they're the like fucking first ones to ever come out with the idea of like, oh, nowadays horror movies are based on fucking metaphorical stuff. So I always found that to be kind of bullshit. But Devin, what are your thoughts about the term, not necessarily the movies, but the term elevated horror?
So it's funny, like kind of like what you said. I never heard the term elevated horror until I saw Scream 5, and I also heard it a lot from Andy the Maniacal Cinephile. And I'm like, elevated horror, what's that? And I see it as, like, a lot of horror movies nowadays are kind of like that. Especially by A24. Because I tried to look up a definition. It's like, oh, it's movies that have deeper themes, and they're thinking man's movies. They make you think. Plenty of horror movies have done that way before the term came along.
Yes.
I mean, look at I don't know if this counts, but Psycho.
More sexual repression.
Right. So that whole thing is it's nothing new. Yes, there are some good examples of elevated horror out there, like the Babadook, The Lighthouse, Hereditary. But then you have a lot of shitty elevated horror movies like Men, Bodies, 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 the Candyman reboot. It sucks, don't at me. But there's always, because my problem with a lot of these movies nowadays is they're not subtle with their themes.
Yeah.
Because whereas a lot of older horror movies, like kind of like how you brought up with The Innocents, they're subtle.
Yeah.
They're woven into the narrative, whereas I feel like a lot of these movies feel the need to tell you the message, to tell you the themes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a movie guy. Show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
And like I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Believe me, there's a lot worse types of horror movies than those.
Yeah.
But elevated horror, that's just a term I've never really used. Because like, oh, what's your favorite type of horror movie? Oh, I like elevated horror. Come on. Yeah. But I think that's all I have to say for now. Something might pop up later, but who knows?
All right, Peter, what are your thoughts on the term elevated horror, not necessarily the movies?
So I would say, like, I understand the concept because, like, especially now, I would argue that we are in a kind of a different age of horror where I think as a genre, it's being taken more seriously by the mainstream. But as, like, I disagree with it because, like, I think you've always had good horror movies. You've always had bad horror movies. You've always had horror movies that, like, for example, my favorite movie is Alien. Alien is a movie that deals with a giant, a massive corporation using its employees as cannon fodder in order to profit. That's saying something.
Yeah,
right.
And it's timeless.
And it's timeless, right? It's about the powerful using the powerless to further their gains. Like, would you call that elevated horror? I would, because I would say that the best horror has always dealt with society. It's always dealt with how we treat each other, what we're afraid of. It's like horror movies mean something. It's like they've always meant something. It's just like I think people would kind of just dismiss the genre because like, oh, it's a horror movie. But like even like I forget the quote, but it was like something where Wes Craven said after he watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he considered going to to becoming a vegan because like I think that movie is saying something. I mean, you might not notice it first, but you notice it like the second or third time. So like I agree with you guys. Like I think it's just the term that people who maybe wouldn't like want to consider themselves horror fans use to make them feel better about liking a horror movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, like I get the term. I understand that we're kind of in a different era in terms of the genre, but as a whole, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, because then I feel like, as well as the fact it also kind of it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because now you have this elevated horror that people are taking seriously. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll abscond. I'll surrender for now. Fine. If it means horror is taken seriously by people, fine. Then call it elevated horror. Call it whatever you want. Now I'm just a little bit worrisome that like the schlock isn't gonna get made. And I love the schlock because that's fun. Because every type of genre also has fun movies, like movies that aren't like are a little bit more self-aware of themselves and aren't looking to be Oscar-worthy movies. Dramas have them, obviously. Comedies have them. There are probably like war movies or anything, like any genre has schlock. So now I'm worried a little bit that like now horror is being taken so seriously that they're overcompensating, and the fact that like something sillier might not be made. Now you could make the argument that something like Smile is still being made, but the thing is with that, it feels like that's like a type of movie that's like trying to be more than what it is. Same with Pray for the Devil. That's another movie that's like trying to be more. I will admit, I'm not too worried about that because there's stuff like Barbarian that's being made that's kind of more on the schlockier side. But I do have a fear that maybe in the coming years that like elevated horror there will be too much overcompensation and like lesser movies won't be made, and sometimes a lesser movie is good. Sometimes you're not looking for like as much as like maybe I'm not looking for Bride of Frankenstein. Maybe I'm looking for Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. You know, like that's also kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, because like my main problem with these new Halloween movies is I rewatched most of them because I had recently kind of got the Shout Factory box set, so I kind of made my way through all of them. And what I noticed is like the first one is this really well crafted, kind of elegant movie that's not necessarily trying to make a statement, but it's just so well made and knows exactly what it is. It's like short, it's concise. And these new ones, it feels like they had a message, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it felt like we're trying to say something. We're not just a slasher movie. We're trying to say something. And it's like, that's fine, but it's like, is this the appropriate like venue to say that? You know, like.
Yeah. I kind of didn't mind, at least in the first Halloween movie, the first of the reboot series, I should mean, is like they did kind of bring about the idea of like how horror has changed. Like you can make a horror movie back in the 70s where the body count is only like 3, 4 if you count the dog. And that's horrifying to the people of that time. But then you turn to today where, you know, shootings happen every other day at this point. So the idea that the characters are like, oh, he only killed 3 people. What's so crazy about that? So I kind of understand that part. But then then it goes way too fucking far with the second movie with mob mentality and the third movie with COVID. It's like, okay, what are we doing here?
And
what are we fucking doing here?
And that goes back to what I was saying, that how a lot of these newer horror movies feel the need to tell you the theme, to tell you the meaning instead of just showing it. Because how many times in these movies they have to constantly say, Michael is evil, pure evil, evil changes shape, it needs to die.
Yeah.
Like oh my god, every time someone brought up evil changes shape, I'm like, oh my god, we get it. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Halloween like Kills and Michael and Robin drove me nuts.
Yeah, Halloween Ends, as much as I do like the film, how like they're sitting on top of the radio station and like the fucking movie is like silent, grinds to a halt, and fucking Allison looks at his hand, infected. I'm like, okay, we get it, Gordon Green. We know what you're trying to do. Like, you don't need to grind the movie to a halt to say infected. Get it, audience? Get it? Because the world. Nudge. Get it. So it's like, come on, like really? You gotta grind the movie to a halt like that.
Come
And
on.
like, oops, sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I watched H2O, because H2O kind of deals with similar themes to the 2018 one, and I thought that they handled Laurie's trauma in a way that was more subtle and more human.
Yeah, even I agree with that, and I don't like H2O.
Because it's like in the 2018 one, she's like, and I get what they're going for with like trauma and stuff like that, but it just seems silly that like, so this one event happened to her, and she's been preparing for 40 years, and she's got a whole bunch of guns and stuff, and she's literally, put her entire life around this, and it just at some point it just comes off as like, okay, I get something bad happened to her, but it's kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah. Like as sorry to cut you off, but as our friend Mark says, they turned her into Sarah Connor essentially, and
Yeah,
I can kind of see the complaint with that.
And it's like with the the H2O one, like it made sense because they kept two canons, so it's like okay, but she knows like he's specifically targeting her, and it makes more sense and it works better because she knows that Michael's eventually gonna come for her. Where in the new one, it just seems like I don't know. I thought it was like handled better in the H2O.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows my thoughts on H2O now because I did post my franchise ranking. I don't think H2O is a good movie, but I will 100% always agree that Laurie's PTSD was handled way better in H2O, and it's also coming from someone who hates the sibling twist. But still, even with all of that, I preferred the 2018 movie. I don't like H2O. I will admit that Carrie Tate's, in this case, PTSD in H2O was handled so much better because it had like some nuance to it, and I feel like Kevin Williamson and maybe even Robert Zappia wanted to like have her more layered, but like it's like they had to have the fucking Scream audience in mind, the teenagers in mind, so they had to focus on them, unfortunately. So we didn't get a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis, but I have read some of the scripts and they were definitely much better in terms of handling her PTSD. But even with the movie we got, it was definitely handled better because it had nuance to it. It wasn't just like, like I'm preparing for evil. I'm preparing for evil,
Evil killed my daughter. Time to settle down and write a memoir.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Show grief your tits.
Yep.
And that's like kind of I like ends. Like, I mean, well, actually, no, let me rephrase that. I don't like ends, but I don't hate it. But like, my thing is like, I thought there were some really interesting ideas in it.
Yeah.
And you could have made a good movie, but the problem is it feels like 6 different scripts kind of like squished together
into a blender. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what I did try to do in my video. If anybody who's watching who hasn't seen it yet, I am genuinely very, very proud of that video because I feel like because I pretty much took the really, really good ideas of ends and just stretched them out into 2 movies to show proper development and regression for certain characters, and got rid of the whole kills thing because I know what Green was trying to do. He was like, oh, like Halloween is like a mirror to the original Halloween. Halloween Kills is a mirror to Halloween 2, and Halloween Ends is a mirror to Halloween 3 with a little bit of 4. So I get what he was doing, but like I care more about like Laurie's character. Like, okay, let's try to work with that a little bit more. And Corey like being the new shape, quote unquote. I wanted to like see more of that, but the fact that like he's introduced in the final movie and like they had to speed through all this development and regression in one movie, and it's like, what are you doing? Like you have to let that breathe. You gotta let us like at least kind of care about this character and then show the fall. Because what I try to do in Kills, I built him up like as a genuine and sympathetic character. Like he builds this relationship with Allison and all this other stuff, and then it also shows him becoming more of a pariah. And then in Ends, what I do in mine, I don't have the fucking psychic connection bullshit, because stop trying to explain Michael's evil. And then like with the hatred of Haddonfield against him, and the fact that towards the end of my version of Kills is that Michael spares Corey, like he becomes obsessed with that and like tries to become the new Shape, and it's like, so we'll deal with that. And it's like, that's what I tried to do, like take all the really good aspect of Ends that were kind of forced and deep in there. I'm like, okay, there's something good in here, let's try to, you know, expand on that. And that's what I tried to do, even though I don't totally love the whole Sarah Connor thing in the 2018 movie. It's a different way of showing trauma, you know, like I'll give them that. Like it's not, it's overburdened and it's like in your face. But I will say, with how trauma and grief are in the world, there's so many different ways about how people handle that. Then I'll give them that. Like I prefer H2O with how it handled that with the subtle and nuance, but I'm like, all right, I'll give you Sarah Connor. Fine, whatever.
And
yeah,
and John, get ready. Taking Shape 3, Halloween Ends.
Yeah,
just go through every single Halloween Ends idea.
Because it feels like 400 scripts into one movie.
Exactly.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. It should have just been Danny McBride and give David Gordon Green the whole time, because I know there was an extra writer on Kills as well.
Yeah, and there were 2 extra writers on this one. Because it shows.
Hello there, SR Striker.
Hello, welcome. I don't know what the hell they were smoking to think that would be think Michael and Robin was a good idea. I basically lost all respect for David Gordon Green because I just see him as a liar and a massive douchebag, and I'm not looking forward to his Exorcist movie.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. For better or for worse.
Yeah, I'm because like I said, like for all the complaints I had earlier, I do like 2018. I actually think that should have been probably like a standalone movie, because I think that ending with him in the house burning, like if they really wanted to do a trilogy, what I would have done is have Michael die in 2018, but then have we introduce Corey in Kills and have him kind of be like obsessed with like the legend of Michael Myers, and then in Ends he goes full on, you know, psycho or something like that. But like, yeah, I've always felt like, because rewatching 2018, I did watch Kills again too before I saw Ends. I just felt like 2018, it worked as like own little what if story, right? It had like the payoff, it had the build up, it had, you know, everything, and it worked for me. But like, yeah, Kills, like, I mean, not Kills, Ends, I wanted to like, just because I was like, okay, they're doing something different and I'm on board with it. But the problem is that, like you were saying, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. It just felt too disjointed and everything.
Yeah. And I definitely agree. I'm kind of how you kind of see the Halloween franchise, how your preferred canon is 1, 2, and H2O. Mine is pretty much 1 and the 2018 one. Well, for me, the best is just the first one. He goes off into the night and we never find out. That's the best ending.
Right, yeah.
Always the best ending. But if I had to pick a sequel, I would pick Halloween. And then Devin, you have 1, 2, 4, and then
if I had to include any sequels, it would be 1, 2, and 4. And then if no sequels, it would just be the original.
Well, the funny thing with Halloween is like it's a franchise where they keep having good endings to it. Like you could have ended the first one, you could have ended with the second one,
and they keep fucking it up.
Yeah, they keep fucking up. Like the fourth one, H2O, 2018, but it's like they just can't help themselves. They got to make more.
Yeah. And as long as Nakkad is alive, Halloween will never die.
Absolutely.
And not the way we wanted it, and not the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't even know if would you consider these new Halloween movies to be elevated horror?
Personally, no. I mean, I think 2018 tries to be, but like I think Kills and Ends are just kind of schlock.
Yeah, Kills is
Yeah, Kills is just like it's basically an 80s slasher movie.
John froze.
Oh.
That's perfect.
Oh.
We gotta screenshot that.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I'm my shit right now. I apologize.
No, it's all good.
Hold on.
Oh my god, dude, that was gold.
I gotta connect. Yeah, all right. Post it in the group chat. And I'm gonna just switch to my Wi-Fi. I apologize for this, but
yeah, shit happens, my man.
All right. Can everyone see me now? Am I good?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi is total shit. What was I saying? What was I talking about? Halloween, but I forget what this.
I brought up. I asked the question: would you count these as elevated horror? Peter said no.
Oh yeah, and then Kills is yeah. I was talking about how Kills is schlock, but like it's so fun. Like I was watching, I'm like, okay, I'm not expecting Empire Strikes Back with this shit. I'm not, because especially when Green and McBride wanted to only do a 2-parter, but they only did the first one. They only pitched the first one. So it's very clear that they wanted to do something very, very different, and it didn't help for COVID, how it delayed certain shit, so that they had to add on like the 2 other movies, and then on top of that, they changed a lot of shit. So with that, I didn't expect Kills. I didn't expect anything. I knew it wasn't going to be like the greatest thing ever. So I enjoyed it for what it was. Ends, I was like, I like what they were trying to do, but it just came off as very messy, especially in the second half, because I feel that's where a lot of the reshoots happened. I'm like, yeah, this is a messy thing, but it's a good mess. Kills is schlock, Ends is a good mess. Like I rate them. I mean, I rate them higher than, Incest Rape Cult the movie and Raving Lunatic Loomis the movie. So,
I mean, I hate both of those movies, but yeah, they're better than 6, Resurrection, and Revenge.
Yeah, but that's a low bar.
Low bar.
Yeah, and speaking of curse, this person asks, what if there was no cult in the Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers? It probably would have been okay, because I did read the Halloween 666, the origin script, and it's not good, but it's not as bad as we got. Like, I won't talk about it too much, but it's a weird read. It's a very rushed read, but I'll give them that. Tommy is definitely better in the script, but I definitely want to try and find the origin of Michael Myers, which is a totally different script. And then I definitely wanted to read Daniel Farron's original Curse script, because I've heard that that's very good, because that's why Donald Pleasance signed on. He's like, this script is so good. And then they completely change it, and he's like, fuck my life. That was pretty much it. I love how this just degraded into just Halloween talk.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I was saying like it's funny because I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, I'm just done with the Halloween franchise. Like I'm done with it, but it keeps coming up in conversation, so like I can't escape it.
Yeah, that's kind of like what's been going on with us.
Yeah,
it just pops up. Like
it just like it's so like maybe that's what Green wanted, just like have a movie that people talked about, just like constantly, because like I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
So let's try to move on from Halloween. Let's try to bring up another discussion. Well, the same person brought up, have you seen the Monster Squad movie? Of course I have seen
Absolutely.
Monster Squad. Who doesn't love Monster Squad?
Monster Squad's great.
That's what the Dark Universe should have been. Just have that be a starting point, and then have spin-offs.
See, like yeah, it's like great. I mean, I always like laugh at the part where like Dracula has like the little girl by the throat, and he's like calling her a bitch.
You bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just fucking like the 400-year-old Prince of Darkness calling a 5-year-old a bitch. That's just great. I fucking love the 80s.
Yeah, Monster Squad is great. Imagine if we got something similar, but it would be Freddy, Jason, Michael,
Leatherface.
You would need to need to sign off on a lot of stuff. Need to sign off on a lot of stuff then. Because that's the problem. All these other characters, they're public domain, or they're like generic monsters, Like the Mummy's a generic monster, Dracula's in the public domain.
The Frankenstein monster's public domain.
Yeah. They're all public domain, and it's like, oh, you can make that work, but then Freddy is owned by New Line. Then Jason is a fucking mess now. Thanks, Victor Miller, you fucking dunce. Halloween, I think it's in the hands of the Akkads.
Yeah, went back to them.
Specifically now. I don't think Blumhouse and Universal. I think they they're gonna let the rights peter out and then they're gonna go back to the Akkads.
Chucky's owned by Don Mancini. And Leatherface, he's always being like thrown around.
Oh yeah, another fucking
because one
up in the
one
air.
moment he's owned by Canon, then he's owned by New Line.
Yeah,
then he's owned by Lionsgate,
Platinum Dunes.
Platinum Dunes.
Yeah, up in the air. And then Leprechaun, I don't even fucking know who owns Leprechaun. I know the WWE did a movie about him. But then then there was the requel. That brought back the fat guy from the first one. I forget that came out. That was like that was direct to video, I think. And people said it was really good, actually. They didn't bring back Warwick Davis, but they said it was pretty good. I know Jim Carrey Bacon and Jennifer Aniston's like kid, they like got together and their kid is like the final girl in that movie or something. But oh my god, that would be so fucking cool. Get Pinhead in there. I think he's owned by Clive Barker now. Specifically.
Yeah, I would love like one day to see a movie with all of like the big horror icons together, like an Avengers type, like a horror movie Avengers kind of sorta.
Sure, I would love to see that. Or
all depends if the story's good.
Yeah, like honestly, the second script or the second treatment for the fucking Michael versus Pinhead movie was so fucking insane, but I loved it. It was so it was absolute schlock, and I fucking loved it.
Hey, John, look what we got in the chat.
Hey, I've got my first spam. Oh, love it.
You want to see a hot photo of his sister?
I haven't gotten spam before. Now I feel like a real YouTuber.
You made it. Look, I made it.
All right, let me block this guy.
Let's spice it up a bit. Click the hot sister.
No, he didn't even like leave a link. He's just like pics of hot sister. Okay. But I blocked him. But oh my god, this feels great. I feel like a real YouTuber now. Now I just need someone impersonating me. That'll be like ultimate YouTuber stardom right there.
I mean, I could try it. I mean, I'm not great of an actor, but I'll give it a shot.
I mean,
you gotta go down like 5 octaves for my voice.
Yeah, I got the nasally voice, but I can work on that.
Yeah, the only thing
the problem is I have a deep voice, but I don't have a sexy voice, so I'm just like, my voice, I just sound like a fucking idiot.
Well, I sound like an anthropomorphic.
I always hate the sound of my own voice, but you know.
Yeah, the only thing I have to mimic John is I'm bald.
Yes,
and that's it.
Although Peter, you got a little bit of scruff, so that'll work, and you got the glasses, so
I do. Yeah, I got the Coke bottles.
But yeah, so I did want to go back to Elevated Horror for a little bit. It just did either of you hear it before Scream 5? That's just the thing I'm curious about.
No.
Yeah, I heard about it because, like, you know, I'm a bit everywhere. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, so I'm in the horror community as much as I can be. So I've heard the term thrown around because, like, the first time I heard it, I was talking about The Witch. I mean, I love The Witch. I love Robert Eggers. Yes. So somebody's like, "Oh, it's elevated horror," and then somebody explained to me what it was, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of lame. Like, that just seems kind of condescending."
That's just horror.
Well, yeah. I can't say I love The Witch because the more I watch it, the more problems I notice with it. But I do love The Lighthouse. I do love Hereditary. Ari Aster is someone who kind of has the whole thing of elevated horror down because all of his movies have some kind of like metaphor and theme.
Yeah. But I watched Hereditary a couple of years ago and I still don't know if I liked it or hated it. I'm just like, this is a movie. And so I'm just like, okay, Midsummer. I actually really liked Midsummer. I know not a lot of people liked Midsummer, but I actually genuinely liked it. I
liked it,
prefer
but it was
when
too
it was
long.
called The Wicker Man,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I
My
still
mom said
like
the same thing.
Midsummer.
Yeah, I like Midsummer, but I think it's too goddamn long.
Yeah, it's a bit long.
Way too long.
Yeah, I
Way too
didn't care
long,
for it either.
But
I still thought it was genuinely good. I thought the cast did a really good job. I like Florence Pugh. Obviously, she's great. I liked seeing William Jackson Harper in something more serious after seeing him in The Good Place. So that was all like really good. I really liked that. I liked how I liked some of the practicals were really good. I like how it was set mostly in daylight. Because I would love to see more of that in horror, like because there's a lot of cases where that some of the worst horror can happen in the daylight.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, going back to Halloween for a quick second, like all the scenes where Laurie is just walking alone, those are fucking scary as shit. I would love to see more daylight horror, like because some of the creepiest shit can happen in the daytime. The night you can, frame it better, but like daylight can be just as scary as the nighttime.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say one of my favorite scenes, in any horror movie is the opening of Jeepers Creepers when they're in their car and they're driving and you see the truck kind of getting closer and closer in the background. That to me is like terrifying because like you can put yourself in that situation. So like I don't always. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it always has to be dark. Like you can do a lot of
Duel. There's another Duel brings up that as well. I have yet to see it, but
this is also a theme I've noticed in a bunch of elevated horror movies and a lot of like horror movies nowadays. Is they always have the bleak, like the bleak abrupt ending where the villain wins. Like Hereditary, the villains win. The Witch, the villains win. Midsummer, the villains win. Smile, the villains win. Like I don't know if I'm
spoiler alert.
I mean, Smile wasn't even that good. When I saw it in theaters, all the parts that were meant to be scary, I was laughing.
Yeah, that's how it happens sometimes. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's how. It's basically how it is with a lot of elevated horror movies. Some of the creepier parts just come off as funny. I mean, look at Men. Like, a naked guy looking at a tree. Isn't that scary?
Peter, did you watch Men?
I did. So I liked it, but like, here's the thing. Like, I liked it because I went in completely blank. Because like, as soon as I saw the title, I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, people are either gonna love this or they're gonna hate it, and there's gonna be anything in between. So when I saw it, there was actually a bunch of guys sitting in front of me, and they really didn't like it, and they stormed off after the movie was over. But I don't know. I thought it was okay. Like, I didn't think it was scary. I'm like, okay, you're bringing up some like interesting ideas and stuff like that, and there's some good performances, and I like the atmosphere. But yeah, I wasn't like completely blown away by it, but I did like it.
Oh, look at this strong woman as she fights back by standing there. Oh, she holds a knife to one of the guys and she doesn't use it.
I don't know. I can't judge because I haven't seen it.
It sucked. I hated it. We did a bad movie roast, and all the scary scenes that are meant to be scary, we were just laughing.
The only part I really liked was like the ending where it was kind of like this weird, like I don't want to spoil. I want to kind of be vague.
God,
it was so weird. I was like, you know what?
I already know the ending because these guys have fucking told me all about it. So
like,
there we go.
Like a guy giving birth 4 times in a row. At first, I thought it was disturbing, but it just kept going on and on and on. I'm like, oh my God, I get the point. Fucking get on with it. Get on with it.
See, I was like sarcastically cheering. I'm like, do it again, do it again, do it again.
That was me.
One more time.
I will say I do like kind of like heckling bad movies sometimes. I will say like sometimes like I'm not one. I hate like when people are like overly loud in a movie. Sometimes I will like when I went to see Halloween Ends and the kid dies in the beginning, I actually said out loud, like involuntarily, "Oh shit!" And once I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm in for a treat.
So
But
the thing,
but I remember I was heckling Thor shit and thunder. I was at a certain point, I was like, fuck this movie. Fuck anybody who likes this movie. And I was just like, every time Korg came up on screen, I think I just started booing.
Oh my
Just-
god, he was even more insufferable in that movie.
Yeah, but let's go back to horror because this isn't about superheroes. Fuck
No, it's not.
superheroes. Let's go to horror. But
We have the cool kids for that.
yes. But yeah, I'm just thinking about Barbarian. Speaking of
I
Barbarian,
loved it.
going
It was
back,
so.
Very
it
good.
was so good. That's definitely, I think that's in my top 10 of the year so far.
Yeah, that actually it might be the Northman in that, or my top 2 so far.
Yeah. Whoa, what about the Black Phone?
Oh no, yeah, that's probably third now. I don't know. I'd have to really think about it because like Pearl's up there as well. Like there's been a lot of great.
I
Like,
need to see X. I still need to see X and Pearl. It's on my list.
X isn't.
But
I enjoy X, but it is a lot more funny than scary. Whereas Pearl, I just got it on Blu-ray. Pearl is excellent, and something I really do appreciate about Barbarian is the trailers did a great job not showing you anything.
yeah,
Because
like
when I watched the trailers, I wasn't expecting a mutant inbred woman.
Yeah. We should probably put a spoiler warning on this fucking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a spoiler warning.
Because I'm watching the movie and there's Bill Skarsgård, he's covered in blood, and I just jumped out in the theater. What the fuck?
Yeah, because it was pretty much like just pretty much most of the trailer was, just like the setup of like Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård just in this house. Oh, this mix up. Ooh, some creepy things, and then that's it. And then like the montage of like all the creepy things, and then the title. That's how you do a trailer. That's how you fucking do a trailer. I know nothing will ever be as good as the Alien trailer. I understand
that's the gold
that
standard.
that is the masterpiece of trailers. If Oscars could go to trailers, that would be the best. I understand, like, once people see that, they're like, we can't do this. Might as well just show them the entire movie in the trailer. I understand. It's very hard when that exists that you have to you still have to make a trailer. I mean, when Alien exists and it's like, got nothing. But you can make attempts, and Barbarians successfully made that attempt. So I will give them that.
Because like I love Justin Long in the movie. Like I've always like liked him as an actor, but like when it kind of like, not to give too many spoilers, but when it switches to his perspective, I thought it was like, oh, is this like an anthology movie? Like, and then it kind of ties back into the main story, and I was just so happy because like watching him just be a douchebag for like an hour is like really fun.
Yeah, I like Justin Long too. And he did a really good job because he's good at playing unlikable dickweeds. He was one in F is for Family. He was kind of one in Live Free or Die Hard. He's good at playing those types of characters.
Yeah, he was the son in F is for Family.
Yeah, I love that show. Great show.
I'll put you through the fucking wall. We're outside, genius. There are no walls. Well, then I will build one, and I'm gonna fucking punch you through it. Go to your room, you fucking disappointment.
What a national treasure that man is. Anyway, but yeah, Barbarian did a lot right. I think if I had to pick a horror movie that was like the gold standard, I'd probably pick The Black Phone because I think it just did so much right for me. Because it like nailed it. Like what I did talk about in our review was that The Black Phone does, because Scott Derrickson does this properly. He knows how to do jump scares. Like, he knows how to utilize those properly and uses them to feed into the rest of the horror. He did that really well in Sinister, and then he did that really well in The Black Phone.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that we we can even in this day and age we can still see what jump scares are supposed to be. They're not. There was actually a really good bit in it. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but The Midnight Club. It's a good. It's another Mike Flanagan project. It's on Netflix. I believe it's supposed to be a series, but there's only one season out. It's very good. It has some slow points, but it's still overall very good. In the first episode, I believe, there was when this girl is telling a story and there's like all these jump scares. He's like, one of the guys was like, the thing is, startling is not scary. You're just startling them. And that perfectly showcases, again, why I absolutely adore Mike Flanagan, is that perfectly encapsulates why jump scares don't work. The shitty ones, not the good ones, the shitty ones. And The Black Phone is filled with good ones, even if people will say otherwise.
Right.
But yeah, Black Phone, that is just exemplary with how it does that, as well as the rest of it are grounded, well done. I fucking pray to God that there's no fucking sequel, because if they fucking make a sequel, I will pimp slap somebody.
Yeah, it would be. I hope it's not like the sequel to Sinister, because Sinister was so good, and then the sequel was missing all the elements that made the first one so good. I don't want the same thing to happen again. I don't need an origin movie about the grabber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the old adage, like the less you know, the scarier it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked with Pearl. But,
yeah. I mean, Peter,
like,
once you described Pearl as the Wizard of Oz meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm like, okay, I gotta put this on the list. I wasn't sure if it would be good or not, because one, it's an origin story, and two, like, I heard like mixed things about X, so I was like, I don't know. But then you described it like that, I'm like, okay, I gotta see this now.
I would say that's accurate. I mean, I could see it. I could see X also having a lot of those Texas Chainsaw Massacre elements to it as well, because it is filmed like a 70s grindhouse movie. I mean the movie, it's about, I mean, the people are there making a porno.
Yeah.
And there's even a joke in the movie where the guy is trying to make elevated porn.
Oh, that's funny. As to quote Ryan Gosling in The Nice Guys, so what you're telling me is you made a porno film where the point is the plot.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie. I adore The Nice Guys, and I adore Shane Black. Iron Man 3 is a good movie, don't at me. But anyway, let's move on to another movie. But yeah, I have seen the clips from Pearl, and Mia Goth I know now is the new fucking face of horror right now. Like, she's gonna have her 15 minutes of just being in everything, similar to Anya Taylor-Joy, how she's like kind of like one of the faces of horror.
Yeah, like because Mia Goth in Pearl, like she's creepy, and she has a lot of mental issues. She has a lot of problems, but at the same time, you do kind of feel sorry for her.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the cool thing about it.
Because, like, yeah, she's demented as fuck, but she's a little sympathetic.
Well, because, like, and I think that the cool thing about it is, like, I think we've all been there where we feel kind of like stuck in your life or stuck in somewhere you don't want to be. And it's like, I like how the movie, even though she's like out of her fucking mind, you're like, oh, I can relate to that. And I thought that was kind of really effective.
I'm very intrigued with that. I still need to, I need to watch these movies. I just haven't had the time. But yeah, it just, God, I think horror had a good, even though we had Halloween Ends, yes. And not a lot, and a lot of people fucking hated that. I think horror had a relatively good year. Like, it had like so many great movies. like, as well as the fact, I know this doesn't matter, but like horror movies also made a lot of money this year. Like, I feel like that's pretty good. Like, I know that doesn't always equal good movies because I know Smile made a shit ton of money, but I feel like we're kind of like getting like a renaissance for horror a little bit. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
it's definitely making a comeback because because you had the 2000s horror, which was pretty bad. Because I mean, yeah, sure, you had Trick or Treat, you had Devil's Rejects, you had Session 9, but not much. But then it got a little bit better in the 2010s.
Wait, Devin, let Peter talk. You kind of cut him off twice.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah, I think like right now we're in a strange place just in cinema in general, where I feel like everything that makes a ton of money is like a franchise, or it's like the MCU or something like that. And the one genre that I think has kind of been immune to that is horror, because you can make them for so little money that the what you get back, like is like you can get 10 times back your budget, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say we're in a bit of a good place right now, and like it's been an interesting year because like even if I don't necessarily love everything that's come out, I'm glad that we're getting so many movies that take these wide swings and like take risk, and I think that's always good for the genre instead of just delivering the same crap again and again and again.
And I think it also helps that the horror community, which is like the best community, I don't care what anybody says, but they're kind of more accepting of like various things. Like, I hate to badmouth like fans, because I mean Hollywood does that enough already. But I mean, you do have, let's say, the extreme stans and fanboys. Let's delegate those, because those are the asshole ones most of the time. But like, you have like, I know they're low hanging fruit, but like Marvel fanboys and girls and stans, they're like, okay, we have a formula, and there's only one way to do that formula, and that's the right way, and like that kind of thing. So it's like kind of like annoying that it's like, oh, we will only like this one thing. So it's nice seeing that the horror community, will accept the Black Phone's grounded, almost psychological thriller that has some supernatural elements. Then you have something like Barbarian, which is like creepy schlock, I would say. Then you have X, which is like 70s grindhouse exploitation. You have Pearl, which is a throwback to like the 30s and 40s, mainly Wizard of Oz, as you were saying, Peter, on Facebook when you saw it.
What about Nope?
Nope, I was just going to get to Nope. Then you have like a spectacle horror movie. I would say that's a horror movie. It's more sci-fi than horror, but I would say it's a spectacle sci-fi horror movie, and it's a mid-budget movie that did well, which is like saying a lot, because mid-budget movies, I mean, just look at The Northman. That was $70 to $90 million, and that did terribly. That flopped. So it was nice seeing like a mid-budget movie actually doing well. Jordan Peele helped matters, but it was nice seeing that. And that's another thing. It was like a spectacle movie. It's like, he's like, I wanted to make a movie where people had to go to the theater to watch it. And you know what? That's great. I saw it in IMAX, and it was awesome.
Oh, wow.
So I like that. I like how like kind of the horror community is kind of like more accepting than the average Joe or anything like that, because that's what the great thing about horror is. And another reason, going back to elevated horror, why it makes no fucking sense is because horror movies are just such a big, vast array of like just so many like subgenres and everything. Like, I've said this many times, how because the thing about horror, I did want to mention this before, how it's like society it's media putting a mirror up to what society's greatest and ugliest parts are. That's what kind of horror has always kind of been. Why elevated horror, another reason why it's such a ridiculous term, is that's what it's always been. And we've kind of just been so accepted because it's so different. Like, for the most part, I don't want to denigrate other genres, but like for the most part, a drama made in the 30s is gonna match a drama in today, or like relatively a war film made in the 30s matches a war movie made today, maybe with a little bit more brutality, maybe some tweaked modern aspects. But like with what society finds scary in the 30s is definitely not what we'll find scary today or even tomorrow. Like the 30s, it was the Depression, 40s, it was the war, 50s, it was atomic age, 60s was the death of the Hollywood system, 70s was exploitation and God knows what else. 80s was slasher, 90s was very like the end of the millennium. You had a lot of religious stuff, you had a lot of technological stuff like the Matrix, self-aware, disaster movies. Another thing back in the 70s, 2000s, it was post 9/11, so you had a lot of extreme stuff like torture porn, and now 2010s you have like sort of kind of like a little bit of everything, but like heavy on metaphor because we're kind of just like broken and disillusioned, so we're like kind of like metaphorical looking into these movies more and more, so like kind of like that. So that's what's so brilliant about it. I feel like because the horror community is so accepting that we'll always get like these types of movies and they'll like be doing well and hopefully bring in the normal audience, you know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like with the genre, like kind of you were saying, it's always evolving, it's always changing, and that's kind of what I love about it is like you have to, like, you can't just kind of do the same thing over and over again. But like I just think there's like a lot of variety, and that's what I really love about it. Is like there's a horror film for everybody. There's slasher movies, there's monster movies, there's psychological, whatever you want, we got it for you. And I think that's kind of what has always made it my favorite genre is that yeah, there are tropes and stuff like that pop up, but if you really want to, you can find something weird and out there.
Yeah. Like if you don't like Friday the 13th Part 7, you can go to Eraserhead. If you don't like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can watch Get Out. Like you'll always like find something. There's like kind of, and it's also why I know of the fans we know of, Devin, you will know who I'm talking about, but the anime fans who they always claim that there's anime for literally everybody. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I respect that because it has that horror vibe of like there's something for everybody. Like, oh, you you have like horror demonic shit, all right, you got this for you. You want like superhero stuff, you got like My Hero Academia, you got like fucking all these other like genres in this one net of like one, I say genre, but as we all know, anime is an art form of animation, but you have like kind of like that. So it's just kind of interesting how, you know, it just seems so silly to me, I guess, like the idea of just like I wouldn't say I did kind of when I in the beginning I was like very angry about it because it's just so like eye rolling, and you see so many people like that like hate the genre, but they're like, oh, I watch elevated horror because it's so much better. But it's really nothing to really get too angry about. It's just so silly in my eyes. It's just the idea of elevated horror is silly, and I think that's what at the end of the day it is. It's just a very silly thing that it's like you need to like make up excuses to like what you like, and that's kind of sad. Like if you like schlock, then like schlock. If you like bad movies, then just like them. Like I remember a buddy of mine was saying like, I hate the term guilty pleasure because why do you need to feel guilty about getting pleasure out of something? You don't need to feel guilty about it. So like the people that you do use the term, I would say unironically, or the people who aren't horror fans use it, you don't have to. You could just like horror movies. That's nothing wrong with that. Like you'll have like the Academy, you know, using the term elevated horror because they're always pretentious snobs. So fuck those guys.
Or John, psychological thriller.
Yes, I don't get me wrong. There are plenty of movies that use the term psychological thriller, and it does work. I mean, I used it a bunch of times during this live stream, but like how they describe Silence of the Lambs as a psychological thriller, it's a horror movie.
It is. That is a horror movie.
Sorry, my laptop is old, and if you hear that, that's my bad. Just the fans are getting fucked up. That's all. It's an old piece of shit. I need to replace it. But anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, you don't need to do that. Like, I feel you don't need to use that term if you just like what you like. And
Exactly.
I think, and the horror community will accept you because the horror community is fucking awesome. Unlike what the directors of Scream 5 think, and they're just all toxic assholes. No, we're not. We're all awesome.
Peter, grab your popcorn.
Hey, you don't need to
John, you're breaking up.
I think we lost.
During your entire rant, you were just breaking up like Scream 5.
The
Directors
directors heard him.
suck. Peter, is he still frozen?
Yeah, on my end, yeah.
John's brain is broken because of Scream 5, ladies and gentlemen.
He just gave up.
I don't know about you, Peter, but I don't even hate Scream 5.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I mean, I liked it well enough. I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
I just thought it was fine.
yeah, I did. Oh, wait, did he just disappear?
Yeah, dude dipped out. He's probably having a technical difficulty. He's definitely having technical difficulties on his end. So until he comes back, looks like it's just us.
Nice. Okay, we're taking over the show.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't dislike Scream 5. Actually, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I have kind of a soft spot for all those movies. I think all those movies kind of work on some level.
I don't understand why there's going to be a sixth one.
Well, because the last one made a whole bunch of money. That's why.
well, yes, but what is there to satire with the sixth movie?
Well, supposedly, from what I've heard, it's going to be set in New York City, and there's going to be multiple, like, Ghostface running around. I mean, that's kind of like the early kind of plot leaks, but yeah, I don't know where they can go from here. They really kind of like drained the well.
Yeah, because the last one was spoofing direct sequels and requels.
So I guess you could do sequels to requels or like something like I don't know. I don't think they should make another one. I think you kind of said everything that they could have said.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I felt about this Halloween trilogy. Where 2018 that would have been a good send off, but they just had to get greedy and make more.
Yeah, I mean that's the one kind of negative side to all of this is like if something makes money, they're just gonna pump out more, even if there's no room for it.
Yeah, because with Pearl, Ty West just came up with Pearl's backstory, and they shot the movie while they had extra time. So that's how that movie came about.
Yeah, I heard about that, and they're coming out with a third one, aren't they?
Yeah, it's called Maxine, and I'm interested to see how that will play out.
Yeah, because like the whole VHS 80s vibe, like I'm down for that.
And from what he said, it is gonna tackle a different kind of horror.
I'm kind of curious to see what he does though, because yeah, like the 70s one was kind of grindhouse, the 30s one was kind of like a origin story. So like I wonder, unless they do like something like really sleazy.
Yeah, because I think Pearl took place during, I believe, World War I.
Yeah, 1918, I think.
Yeah. All right. John texted me. He said he will be coming back. It's just taking a bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I was surprised about how much I liked how much I enjoyed X, and I didn't think I would love Pearl, but I did.
Yeah, actually, like I said, I saw the first trailer for X, and I was like pretty looking forward to it because I love that kind of like 70s grindhouse aesthetic. So I was like pretty. And then when they showed Pearl, I was just like, I didn't even know they had a prequel, so I got like so hyped because I was like, oh, I love X, and now I just think Pearl is such like a better film overall.
Is Maxine, is that coming out this year or is that next year?
I think next year. I don't even think they filmed it yet. They haven't even shot it yet, I don't think.
Yeah, Mia Goth too did a really good job playing both Maxine and Pearl. And like the story of X, I mean, it is silly. It's a bunch of people making a porno and they're being stalked and killed by an old woman whose motive is she just wants to get laid.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. She wants dick. And her husband can't give it to her anymore.
So luckily for her, a whole bunch of people show up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows what came from that scarecrow.
Well, I always like the part when she goes in the basement and she finds I think it's a guy like tied up and like kind of like split open. So, and I like how they don't really explain anything. It's all like kind of in your imagination. Like, oh, what have they been doing for the last 80 years or 60 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, Ty West definitely improved with these movies. I don't even, because before this, I didn't like Ty West.
Oh, you don't like it? Because I kind of like The Innkeepers. I don't know how you feel about that, or.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that, or House of the Devil.
See, I haven't seen that one. I still have to see that.
Yeah, House of the Devil, I found to be pretty boring. Someone there was someone in the comments that did ask these questions. So he said, have you seen this YouTube video series called Evil Asylum? I have not.
Oh, I haven't either.
And he brought up and this person they brought up It Follows.
I think that's when we were talking about the daylight horror.
Yeah, I haven't seen It Follows. Have you seen it?
It's pretty good. I mean, I think it's slightly overrated, but I think it's pretty good.
And speaking of Jeepers Creepers, what do you think the creeper is?
I've actually never really thought about it. I kind of like that they don't like really delve into what it is because, like, again, it's the whole idea of like less is scarier.
Yeah, I can tell you who the creeper is.
Who's the
director?
Creeper? Oh yeah, well, that's a whole other can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame because like I love the first Jeepers Creepers, but now that you know, obviously what he did, it just kind of sours the whole thing. Because like I love the first one, but like I don't know, I just feel weird because like especially the second one, like which is kind of like really homoerotic, which is like, oh, I'm kind of seeing some signs here that like, oh yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah, his very first movie, Clown House, you could tell those tones were all over that movie.
Oh god, yeah, I've seen it once and I liked it, but like I don't know, I just don't feel ever like I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I don't support anything Victor Salva does. He's dude is a straight up scumbag.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just and it's weird because usually I'm like pretty much like, oh, you can separate the artist from the art and blah blah blah. But with that one, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that one, it's kind of impossible to do so.
Yeah, because especially because like I feel like the movies, if you watch them, you're like, oh, this guy's a creeper, and pun intended.
Yeah, he was the creeper all along.
So there you go. That's the answer. It's Victor Salva.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the creeper. Jesus Christ, John must really be having problems.
I think he bailed. I think he's like, I'm just tired of this, and then he just ran away.
Yeah, but he didn't even bother to end the stream.
Well, maybe I don't know. He just likes us like sitting here. This is like all sick joke.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like let these two it. Let him run it. I don't want to do it anymore. I hate that movie.
Yeah.
So like, what are your like? What would you say like your top 5 like favorite horror movies are?
Oh, it's tricky because some of my favorite horror movies, like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Halloween, the original Evil Dead. Christ, it's very, very hard to pick 5. Silence of the Lambs, and The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, me too. I know, I love The Exorcist.
John sent me a voice message. So hold on for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so John said he is having technical difficulties. He's trying to get in, and once he gets in, he's gonna end the broadcast.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, dude was definitely stressed out.
Oh no, yeah, no worries. No, like I said, shit happens. No big deal.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to just pick 5 because there's just so many good picks, and that's what's great. That's what John was saying earlier. That's what's great about the horror genre. There's just so many. There's just so much to unpack. There's something for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, because like I could easily do like a top 100. I mean, there's so many movies, and like you're saying, like if I had to pick a top 5, like I could, because like I said, Alien would definitely be up there. The original Bride of Frankenstein would be up there. Trying to think. Have you ever seen the movie Targets with Boris Karloff from the 60s? Yeah, that would be up there. That's like one of my favorite movies. The original Blair Witch Project, stuff like that.
Yeah, Blair Witch Project. That's one of the ones I can't get into, and that leads me to a good question. What are some horror movies that you find to be overrated or that are beloved and you just can't get into? For me, when I think of those movies, I think of Blair Witch Project. Don't kill me, but I think of Suspiria, the new Candyman, House from 1977.
Oh yeah, the Japanese one.
Yeah, I watched that because I wanted to see. For my October marathon, I just watched movies I haven't seen before. House was on HBO Max. I'm like, okay, I'll put this on, and I'm like, I genuinely don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, like, I feel like I like it, but it's also like I could totally understand somebody watching that being like, I don't get it, and just kind of like bailing. I don't know. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to think. That's actually a good question. Like, I guess since we were talking about it before stream, like the 2017 one, like I liked it, but like I know a lot of people were going like ballistic over it, and I just never kind of got it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the big one where like I'm just like, you know what, it was fine, but like I don't know why I understand like why is everyone like kind of going crazy over it.
Yeah, what are some other ones you can think of?
Off the top of my head, I like the first Conjuring, but that's like another one where it's like, oh my, like when that came out, I remember it was like huge. It kind of reminded me of Paranormal Activity, where it was like huge. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's so scary. And then when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty well made, but it's not like I wasn't like completely like horrified by it.
Yeah, same here.
Trying to think what else. There's not really that many. I mean, to be honest with you. Actually no. The original Scream, like I like Scream, but that's like another one where people are like, oh, it's like one of the greatest horror movies ever made. And I'm like, Yeah, like it's pretty good, but like I think there's even better Wes Craven movies, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely take the first Nightmare on Elm Street and People Under the Stairs.
Oh, People Understand is fantastic.
That movie scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, that one's weird. I didn't see that till like later, but like I said, it's like that's like probably up there with Nightmare as like one of my favorite movies of his. Yeah, and then like maybe Serpent and the Rainbow would be up there too.
Yeah, Serpent and the Rainbow is a good one. Actually, like when I got my copy of People Under the Stairs, it came with a double. It was a double feature pack. It was People Under the Stairs and Shocker, which I still haven't seen.
Shocker's fun. I feel like you'd like it. It's kind of his answer to Nightmare on Elm Street because he was like obviously kind of upset about what happened with that franchise, and it's like that character and Freddy like share a lot of similarities. But yeah, I mean, like I said, those are kind of the ones that kind of pop in my mind when I think like, oh, everybody loves these, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not like crazy about them.
Yeah, and I know, and it's another one. It's recent. I don't know if this would be a horror movie. I don't really see it. I mean, it was advertised as a horror movie, but it's not. But Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yeah, I saw that.
What did you think of that movie?
I liked it, but I was also like, this is kind of, especially with the ending when you find, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but like with the ending, I'm like, all right, this is kind of dumb. I mean, I like the performances. I like the girls. I like Pete Davidson in it, but it was like, after a while, I was like, okay, where's this going?
Yeah, I see that movie as a headache on two legs.
Really?
Yeah, it's just I hated all the characters. They were some of the most annoying, whiny douchebags. And the fucking ending made the whole movie just not make any sense.
Yeah, because it's like I said, I don't want to like spoil it, but it was just like, okay, these people are idiots, and like they kind of all got what was coming to them. I actually kind of felt like that way about the Texas Chainsaw, the last one that came out. I was like watching it. I'm like, within 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, I want all these people to die. Like, I just don't care. And that's like a big pet peeve of mine. If you can't care about any of the characters, then why am I watching it?
Thank you. Yeah. I hated that new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Oh, I did too. I like it, like I liked the gore and some of the scenes were kind of fun, but it was like, yeah, I was just kind of annoyed during it, and that's not never like a good sign.
Yeah, it was. I'm like I know it's already a low bar because honestly, the last good Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was the sequel, which came out in 1986. And this movie proved my point that nobody cares about this franchise. It shouldn't have been a franchise. And people are just going to drag it out just for money. And this movie pissed me off and it aggravated me so much. I'm like, you know what? If they announce a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I am not going to see it. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm the same way, honestly, at this point with Halloween. I'm like, listen, unless you have something like really good, unless you're going to do something really cool, I'm out. I'm just like, there's nowhere else to go. Like, you're just kind of retreading ground.